Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm sharing a birdcage DIY that I made using this poster board, this burlap ribbon, these skewers, and this floral wire. I'm just showing here how I cut the floral wire into these smaller pieces. The red is what it originally looked like, and I had the gold form of it, and I cut it into all the same sizes, and I'm using a pencil and a measuring tape to create everything. So the first thing I'm doing is measuring 21 inches down on the poster board, and that's what I'm going to use for parts of the birdcage. And then I did little tick marks to show where I'm going to place the little skewers after it's all said and done. I cut these pieces down into 3 strips, which I will be using for the top and bottom of the birdcage as well as the lid. So I'm just placing these little tick marks on here. This is where I'm going to glue the skewers down as well as those floral wires. So these skewers actually came from Stop and Shop. They were only $2 and you get a bunch of them. I don't even know how many. So I'm using those little tick marks that I drew with the pencil, and I'm gluing those skewers right down onto each of those little tick lines. And I made them approximately a little more than ½ an inch apart. So that's the way I measured them, and I'm just gluing those on right here, trying to keep them as straight as possible. Everything that I used came from the Dollar Tree except for these skewers. I actually found some sticks like these at the Dollar Tree, but a much better deal at Stop and Shop at $2. So this is the other strip that I used. I'm gluing the tops of the skewers down to the tick marks on the second strip. And I'm just doing that in random order because I didn't want any waviness in the strip. I wanted it to lay completely flat, so I just went back and forth and glued each little tip down and then wrapped it around itself. And then I'm just going to glue these 2 pieces of the poster board together. And this, as you see, has formed the bottom of the birdcage. I'm just going to set that aside, and I'm using that 3rd strip, and I'm taking the floral wire that was cut and I'm gluing those down to the tick marks on that 3rd strip. And now, of course, the floral wire is flexible, so that's where it's going to form the dome piece of the lid. And these were very, very easy to cut, just cuts very easily with scissors, and it was a little hard to glue, so I did have to reinforce it, but I took one of the extra pieces and I created a ring with it. And this whole process that I'm doing with these could have been much easier if I would have used an actual ring, but I wanted to keep everything basically from the Dollar Tree. So I'm just gluing that dome piece around into its circle. As I mentioned, the floral wire is very flexible, so I'm just bending it and creating that arch look on each of the sides. And then taking that ring piece that I made, and then I'm slightly bending over the very tips of each of these floral wire stems around the ring that I created. And as you see, each little tip is going to go around the ring until it creates its own half circle. And as I said before, it would have been much easier if I would have used a ring, because this thing kept opening up and I had to keep trying to tuck all the little wires back in place. But eventually it did stay together. And so I'm just shaping it, and I'm just going to place it on top and see how it fits. It needed to be a tiny bit bigger to fit around the top, and it fits nicely here. So this is how it all looks once that's done. And then I wanted to create a little loop at the top, so I took another little piece of that and then I wrapped that around the ring that I used at the very top. And as you see, I have those extra pieces. I'm just continuing to roll them around until there's nothing left. And then I'm just showing here how I ended up using duct tape to close that ring together. And it's holding here pretty nicely. So then I took it outside and used this Rust-Oleum spray paint to spray paint the entire thing white. And this is how it looked with the spray paint nice and dry. And now I'm just taking that burlap ribbon. It had this lace piece already on it, but I wanted the lace to show a little more, so I cut off the top of the burlap part. And then I'm just going to glue that directly onto the bottom of the bird cage, keeping the burlap part at the bottom so it kind of looks like the rim of the cage, and then letting the lace part be at the top. And I did the same thing for the lid, except for I flipped the burlap the opposite way so that the lace would hang down on the bottom. And then I spray painted all of this white. You could easily use a poster board for the base of your cage if you wanted a base, but I had this extra piece of foam board and I'm going to use that for my base instead. And this did also come from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just gluing the inside of it to reinforce it. And then I'm using an X-Acto knife to cut the excess off. And this is how it looks now. And then I'm just going to put some stuff inside. So I had this little jar and this little flower, artificial flower, that I'm going to put inside. I thought to put the birds in there, but I had some Dollar Tree birds and I placed them inside the cage just for the decor, but I did not like seeing them in the cage even though they were fake. So I put the flower in there and then I decided to put the birds on the outside, and I actually liked how this turned out much better. So this is the final result, and this can be decorated with anything on the inside: candles, big greenery, flowers. There's so many different options with this. So this is my first option. I tried two different things. So the first thing I did was I actually put something underneath the little flower jar because it was too low. I added this little glass container thing and flipped it over, and then just placed that little plant on top of it to give it a little height. And this is how it looked. But then I tried another option, put this other plant inside there with a different kind of vase, and added some pixie lights. And I wanted a bird cage for my spring decor and possibly even summer decor, and I figured it would be easy to make one. This idea came to me, so I just decided to put it together. So I hope you like it. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and I thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.